is the very, very first episode of Serious Success Stories. I am excited, extremely excited, actually. First of all, this is the first part. Second of all, because I get to interview people who have come back from deep depression and homelessness, bankruptcy, maybe even brokenness. They have made a massive comeback in their lives, and now they are inspiring the world, and now they're making six figures, and now they are just an amazing people to be around. And guess what? My very, very first guest is the famous Edward Zia, and Edward Zia is a persuasion and marketing coach and mentor, and everybody loves him so much. Most of you are knowing him from LinkedIn. He actually just hit 58K followers. So please help me welcome Master Edward Zia.
Oh my God, Emy, it's an honor being the first one on your show. And if you don't mind me saying, I got to say, I love your sexy Eastern European accent. I hope you don't mind me saying that.
Well, thank you so much, Edward. Actually, many people told me that I'm not going to be successful because of my accent. So thank you for pointing it out for people. That if you have accent, that does not mean that you're not going to be successful. So welcome on the show, Edward, all the way from Australia. How's your day been so far? I know it's early morning there.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's early morning on a Sunday, and just to give you some context, I've spent a bit of time trying to get the perfect view. So I'm in a place called Parramatta in Western Sydney, and I decided to position myself on the riverbank to get this cool city view behind me.
And I love it so much. It's really beautiful. You got the perfect spot for the very first episode for Serious Success Stories. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. I've been wanting to ask you for the longest time. And thank you so much for coming on this show. And let's start with your story. Many of people know about you from LinkedIn that you used to be homeless, and now you are a famous global international influencer. So if you could tell us a little bit about where you started and how did you got this far where you are today?
Great question. Thank you, Emy, and I really appreciate the frame of your question. So originally, I am a man in my early 40s now, a married family guy, 2 kids, married to the wonderful Lassie, also quite big on LinkedIn. And I actually joined the Army when I was 19. So when I was 19, I went and joined the Army. And I was originally a combat engineer in the Army. So basically, I was the guy that would help build bases and dig holes and that type of thing. It was really cool. And what happened was I actually had a very successful start to my military career. I ended up getting seconded into federal policing, doing a lot of drug enforcement, and I had my whole life planned. I was basically going in the direction of being a federal agent. That was my whole life direction, and I got injured very badly on an operation. It happens, you know, and I ended up having a massive change in direction for my life. And after being injured, and I'll come back to where I got injured, I actually had a very short-term successful career in corporate Australia after being discharged from the military. However, there was a big problem. In my late 20s to early 30s, my PTSD, my post-traumatic stress disorder, my injuries sustained during my government times caught up with me, and that combined with a bad stack of decisions led to me losing everything. So I went from sort of being a once successful, government guy to a corporate. And then, I ended up on my 29th, 30th birthdays, being a homeless. I actually became a homeless veteran, and it was just such an amazing reboot to my life. But it was that reboot in my life that led me to this point in time now.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Edward. It sounds extremely interesting, and I actually wondering. So when you found yourself in that place, when you find yourself homeless and kind of losing everything, like what made you decide, or like what was driving you to get out of those circumstances? What made you make a move?
Well, I think what it was, one thing, and I do recommend this for everyone. One thing that really, and I was lucky I did this. So in my mid-20s, I converted to Christianity. I found Jesus, converted to Christianity in my mid-20s. And that was a very interesting move for me. when I sort of found Jesus and found God and that type of thing. Because ironically, I think that's what saved me later on, because when I went homeless, I was very ashamed of it for a while, mind you. I had a lot of shame built around it. That's another conversation. But the main thing that kept me going, that experience, Emy, was that I approached it from a very spiritual viewpoint. I tended to see it more in a way as a pilgrimage rather than me being homeless. So I had the real viewpoint that this is kind of meant to happen. I need this, and it's a chance for me to reboot my life. So I think the way I looked at it really sort of navigated me through experiences. When I realized the situation I was going into, and I was ashamed and embarrassed, and but I saw it as like, I think I probably need this, and this is going to be a kind of spiritual pilgrimage and awakening for me. So I had a very, you would say, Zen viewpoint about the whole experience.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that, Edward. And so, what made you decide to go on LinkedIn? So there's so many social medias out there. There's Facebook, Instagram, all the other social platforms. What made you decide to go on LinkedIn? And you just took off very, very quickly. So if you can tell us about that, that would be so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So I spent, before LinkedIn sort of became the influencer content platform it is today, when it was more literally the resume website, right? I used to spend a lot of time on Facebook, and for a while there I did really well on Facebook. I did a lot of paid ads and I really took off. But what happened was that as Facebook changed, I won't just say it changed its algorithm, but as Facebook as a company changed its direction, it went away from business, it went away from influencers, and it went more in the direction of just your local connections and community. That's the direction that Facebook went in. Not just me, but a lot of people sort of, I went from Facebook being my main platform to it not really bringing me any leads unless I'm spending a lot on paid advertising. One of my very good friends, Rana Kordari, big shout out to Rana, said, Ed, you're on the wrong platform, buddy. Like, get off. It's sort of like, get off Facebook. What's like, a big shout out to Rana, by the way. I really appreciate Rana. She's like, what's wrong with you? Like, it's funny because in my mind, this is the start of 2019. In my mind, I'm like, Facebook. And she's like, what are you, demented? What is something wrong with you, Ed? Get off Facebook. And interestingly, the moment I jumped, it was this, within 3 months of doing influencer work on LinkedIn, I achieved more than I did in the past 2 years on Facebook. And it was just a life-changing journey. Then I think it was LinkedIn is the right platform for me and what I'm trying to do. Whereas Facebook was really a square peg in the round hole sort of scenario.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. That's such an amazing story. And you actually mentioned there that you used to do paid advertising. Do you have to do paid advertising still on LinkedIn, or is it something that you do now organically? You get your clients or get noticed organically?
Well, I'm actually 100% organic now. So in fact, just full stop, I'm 100% organic on LinkedIn. So I used to spend about $50 to $100 a day on Facebook paid advertising. And whereas now I spend zero and I get more clients from LinkedIn. However, having said that, I'm actually planning on doing LinkedIn paid advertising next year. I'll probably do $500 to $1,000 a month just to start off and get into it. But yeah, no, I absolutely love the way that LinkedIn's played, because I think what LinkedIn has done really well, and big shout out to Microsoft, obviously the parent company of LinkedIn, is that LinkedIn is again a business-to-business platform. Facebook used to be a platform for everyone. Then it sort of went off. Hey, we're just friends and family now. And if you're a business person, go find somewhere else. And then LinkedIn's like, oh, we're that someone else. Come over here, right? And I think as well, and it's really good. I think the beauty is as well, because LinkedIn makes a lot of money on its subscriptions and it's part of Microsoft. It doesn't put all that. You don't have that overdone problem of paid advertising you do on a platform like Facebook.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. Thank you for sharing. And I was just wondering to ask you, you put out a lot of content each day and you consistent, you never stop. And we always see Edward Zia on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? How do you come up with ideas and keep positive and energized, and like how do you keep up with all that content creation that you do?
Yeah, I think when it comes to content, and I've learned from some really top YouTubers, actually, a lot of top YouTubers have helped me succeed on LinkedIn. And the thing that I find with content is I actually share what I'm thinking about at the time. So when I share a piece of content, it's not so much me strategically creating this content and doing all this stuff. It's more me just sharing what I'm thinking or feeling in that moment. It's more what's going through my own mind. So a lot of people say to me, Ed, I love your content. It's so raw and authentic. Why is that? Because it's actually raw and authentic. It's actually what I'm thinking. Like, it's actually literally, I have a thought and I'm like, oh, that's great. And that'll be my next piece of content. And it's that rawness that makes the content very appealing. And the second part of your question, which is the hardest bit, by the way, I'm actually doing a webinar on this, which is funny. How do you stay positive? That's a whole nother conversation, but I think it's very important to stay positive. And you're a powerhouse coach and you get this, I know, Emy. You know, you got to exercise, you got to, you know, consume positive materials, and like yourself, get a coach. I think it's very important. Staying positive, especially in the times of Corona as well, is easier said than done, but it is very critical.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love what I'm hearing so far. And to go back to the content part a little bit. So what is your take on planning the content like 30 to 60 to 90 days ahead? So I myself too like to just go with the flow and create content as I go. But many people believe that you can create content like 30 to 60 to 90 days ahead and then just dump it on LinkedIn. So what is your take on that?
Oh, appalling! Absolutely not. And I won't just give you my opinion. I'll talk about some top influencers that I work with as well, right? You know, so some of the top influencers I follow and work with and get mentored by as well, they don't do that. And I'm talking. I'll use an example. One of my favorite influencers, and I was very lucky to become friends with him when he was only 15,000. I think he's almost 500,000 followers now. Is Dr. Steve Turley from YouTube. Dr. Steve Turley, he plans his content 2 days out because he's reacting to news cycles. You know, another YouTuber I follow on, Tim Pool. Tim Pool, same thing. He's reacting to news cycles. Scott Adams, who's a massive, he's more of a Twitter Periscope guy, the creator of Dilbert, and I'm friends with him on LinkedIn too. He's literally that day, right? And these are, and here's the point, and this is the irony of it. You'll meet top influencers who are A-class influencers around the world. They're literally creating content that day, and then you'll meet people who've got 400 followers trying to build a 90-day spreadsheet on Excel. It's insane. Because here's the thing that they won't tell you, the 90-day people, is that it's boring. Like, the more you plan your content is the more manufactured and boring it becomes.
That makes total sense. And thank you so much, because I like to create my content too as I go. So thank you. I might be doing something right.
Yeah, I'll tell you on that note, if you look at all the top influencers, be it LinkedIners, TikTokers, Insta girls, or, you know, LinkedIn, you know, characters, right? The top ones don't do this planning. The top ones don't. The top ones react often to news cycle and events, or, you know, what's going on around them. And that's why their content's so good, because again, the whole planning thing, the whole problem with the planning. Now, I'm not saying don't plan. You got to know what you're going to do. But when you go to the point of like an Excel spreadsheet with 90 days, your content's going to be boring and contrived, and no one's going to like it.
Okay, cool. So since we talk about planning, I'm just going to dig in a little bit there. Yeah. So, you know, in regards to content, you create it as you go and you just throw it out there and people love it, love you, and they love your positivity. But what about like your business plan? Do you have like a certain way of planning your business, like 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When it comes to business planning, so I plan usual annual. So I got several layers. So I got annual plan, 90-day, and then a 30-day plan. And to be honest with you, what actually concerns me more is the 30-day business plan. So yes, I know where I'm going and all that, but what actually interests me is what am I doing in the next 30 days? That's more what I pay close attention to, because the simple, and I get asked this all the time, is, but Ed, shouldn't you be doing a 10-year business plan and all this sort of thing? Like, shouldn't you do a 100-year business plan? It's like, well, I'm more interested, like the way I look at it is, and I'm not the only person saying this, by the way, is if you look after the days, the weeks will look after themselves, the months will look after themselves, and the years will look after themselves. And the reason why, because I know people who don't have businesses that write thick documents on their business plan, and they don't do it, nothing happens. Then you'll get some poor weirdo like me living out of his car who then builds a business, you know? So yeah, I don't know. I'm a real advocate of the 30-day business plan because it's accountable, it keeps you focused, and it allows you to keep tweaking the direction based on wins, losses, and, you know, things like Corona and pandemics, because there you go, like
Right.
the pandemic, throw out your business plan, throw it out. No one planned for
Absolutely.
that. The Corona, your business plan's worthless now, completely worthless.
Right. Super cool. I love what I'm hearing. Can I just go back a little bit to the positivity? So what do you do in a day yourself to keep positive? So we see you doing push-ups on LinkedIn, you know, you're doing your runs, and there's a lot of videos about you. So how do you keep energized, positive, like specifically what exercises or what kind of personal development, maybe morning routines do you have?
Well, I'm going to use today as an example, right? Today is an example. So what I did today was a case in point. So just to give some context, today is Father's Day in Australia, to give some context.
Happy
So
Father's Day.
Is that the same in North America and Canada, or is that just Australia? Is it the same worldwide?
Yeah, no, it's not Father's Day here. So
Oh, okay.
no, we had it earlier this year. Yeah.
Ah, yes. I'll give an example. The reason why I'm showing the views. So, for example, today I knew I was being interviewed by the powerhouse high performance coach Emy. Right, I knew that. Right. So what I did is I got up early and to get myself ready for the interview. So I got up, you know, showered, shaved, and all that. But then I actually went for a run this morning. I went for a 3 kilometer run, which is about 1.5 mile run. And that was just to freshen me and get ready for the interview. And I'm sitting along the beautiful Parramatta River. So for example, to get ready for this interview, instead of me just rolling out of bed and going, "Hi, Amy, I got up early, I got some exercising, got a cup of coffee. I was watching some of my favorite YouTubers on the way here." So to get prepared for this interview, for example, I've gone through this whole successful routine, and as much as I can, putting myself in nice environments. So for example, if I just sit at home, I'm going to be lethargic and not that good. If I go down the street, sit on the river or something, I'm going to do a better job, which I am. So part of it, I say, is like exercise, nutrition, and also putting yourself in really positive environments, such as, yeah, it's really nice along here. For the sake of the audience, Parramatta is in Western Sydney, which is about 30 kilometers, 20 miles away from the city. So it's quite inland, but there's a nice river nearby, so you make the most of your surroundings. And I think it's very important, as you can see with the wonderful view around me.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's super cool. And, as soon as we can travel, my first destination is Sydney. I have met so many nice people from Sydney on LinkedIn, including you. So that's my first destination, and it's super, super beautiful. So thank you for sharing that, Edward. I'm just going to dig in a little bit more into, do you have days when you feel maybe you doubt yourself, you question yourself, and yeah.
All the time, every day, all the time. Well,
So
especially. Yeah, sorry, you go. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna ask, like, how do you get over those feelings or over those thoughts in your mind?
Well, to be honest, I actually felt a bit like that today when I woke up. I woke up lethargic today, right? And Friday I woke up pretty good. Yesterday I woke up really well. Today I just felt lethargic when I woke up. I actually didn't feel good. I felt it's not Corona. I felt quite congested when I woke up today. I felt quite lethargic. And I'm like, okay, so I got the kids ready, and Lassie's at home looking after them. So I got the kids ready, fed them sort of set them all up for the day. And it's like, okay, I'm going to go for a run, breathe in deeply. So it's actually the physical exercise and getting out of the home that actually got me from lethargic to productive for now. And that's what it comes down to, because if you're feeling lethargic and unproductive, you're not going to feel better by sitting at your desk. Go for a walk or something. If you can't leave your house or apartment due to weather or, some kind of crazy government enforcing you a lockdown, do some exercises in the home. Do it, like watch follow a yoga or aerobics video on YouTube or something. So you got to, I will say this, nutrition, eating well, and physical exercise is so critical and important, because that is actually, and I'm not the only one saying that, that's one of the best ways of snapping yourself into a positive mindset, which is what I had to do today. I just felt, and It's like, I don't want to be I don't want to be for an interview of Emy. I want to be high performance because Emy's a high performance coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you so much. And
Yeah.
and also, you know that I am deeply into mindset and thinking,
Yeah.
right? So what are you thinking in those moments? It's just like, oh, I feel like crap. I need to go for a ride. Like, how do you turn that around for people that, you know, they're not used to doing this? Like, how would they start? What would you suggest? How would they start?
Yeah, well, one thing I do suggest actually is, like for example, I usually run 2 or 3 kilometers a day. I started actually only running a few weeks ago again, to be honest with you. I've always done a lot of gym work, but I actually started running again recently. I've really loved it actually. Just light running, just like 2 or 3 kilometers a day, nothing too serious, right? But what I say to people is a great place to start is start walking. And what I say to people is you want to walk at least 6,000 steps a day. And what's beautiful about pretty much any modern phone is it's either, if it's not on your phone, you can download an app. You just install a step counter app on your phone, and it tells you how many steps. So, for example, I've done already, I think like 3,500 steps just to basically jog down to the river and then talk to you. And to get home, I'll do another 3,000 steps. So I've already done my 6,000 steps. I say to people, having a minimum of 6,000 steps every day is very important because again, I'm not a PT, but talking from a mindset point of view, it's so important because that gives you that positive mindset, the exercise.
Cool, cool. And do you listen to music or do you listen to motivational speech while you're running or what, like, do you have something to listen to or the birds and just nature?
Yeah, it's just funny you say that. When I run, it's funny you say it. When I run, I like to listen to nothing. I like to just listen to what's around me. But when I'm at home on the couch just chilling, I like to watch motivational stuff on YouTube. So I like, yeah, again, Dr. Steve Turley, Tim Pool. Yeah, don't tell anyone this. I like watching a lot of Donald Trump stuff, but don't tell anyone that. But yeah, you
I'm sure
know,
everyone is gonna love that.
oh yeah, I'm gonna lose half my audience there. I mean, and also a big fan of Melania Trump as well. So whatever you're into, and this is what I say to anyone watching, right? Watch stuff that inspires you and motivates you. So and whatever that is, everyone's different. So for example, I'm quite as a lot of people know, one of my side roles is I'm quite active in Australian politics. So part of my roles is also political as well. I do a lot of, I'm in full disclosure, I'm a member of the Australian Liberal Party. So I do a lot of work supporting the Prime Minister and supporting local government. So for example, politics and political strategy is also part of what I do, and it motivates me. Now, the point is, whatever you're into, get into it. And I say this very importantly. One thing I do say as well is, again, whatever religion you're into, I always say get into your faith. Whatever stream you're in, be it you're a Hindu or a Muslim or a Buddhist or a Christian or, you're a Wiccan, whatever it is, get into your faith, because the more you exercise and the more you get into your faith, there's more of that positive mindset you're going to maintain.
Absolutely. Super cool. I love what I'm hearing. You're so awesome to interview, and it's so easy with you.
Thank you.
You make my job so easy for that first episode. So thank you so much for that. I have a few questions actually. I posted on LinkedIn and asked people if they wanted to ask you a specific question. And someone was asking if someone is starting out right now on LinkedIn, where should they start? What would be the first step that you would do if you would start out on LinkedIn today?
Oh, great question. So 3 things I always say to people in how to become a big influencer on LinkedIn. Number 1 is always update your profile. Spend a few hours updating your profile and just tweak it a little bit every day. The better you make your profile in terms of like photos, description, is the better you're going to make it. And with your profile, even I'm tweaking my profile like today. So to me, your profile, it's like a garden. It's something you just got to tweak and screw around with every day. Like, always keep improving your profile, number 1. Number 2 is, and I guess you're a master at this, Emy, so this is totally your domain as well, is share great daily content, because, that is how you build followers and build your reputation. And the third point is personally speak to people and reach out to people, like, your fans, connect and follow your fans, speak to them, make friends. And then the more advanced strategies as well is when you start running things like free live webinars, free weekly Zooms, and that type of thing. That's the more advanced side. But until you do the webinars and that, I always say, start with your profile content and make great one-on-one connections.
Super cool. I love it. I totally love it. So there's one more question I got from someone asking, they're putting out content and they're not getting that many engagement. So what would you suggest to them if they don't see, engagement like within 3 to 4 weeks? Should they wait longer? Should they change their content? What should they do?
Well, if you don't see engagement sooner, I'd say you've got a problem. Like, I wouldn't wait that long, because usually if you're putting out content and no one cares, you've got a big problem with your content, right? So you got to keep shaking it up. You got to keep shaking up your content to make it good. And you got to use what you have. And I'll use this as an example, right? I was actually having this funny conversation with Lassie, my wonderful wife, yesterday. You got to sort of use what you have. So, and I'm going to sound very sexist here, and I'm going to get in a lot of trouble, but what I'm saying is still correct. I'm going to sound horribly sexist here. But if I was female, if I was, let's say, a Persian woman, right, being a Persian Australian guy, if I was female, I would do the whole crop top thing, and I'd do all my content from that viewpoint, so I know I get lots of views, right? But because I'm male, and that doesn't work, but I'll go to beautiful locations, beautiful environments, right? I'll try and come up with great ideas. If you're like not into fitness or not into that type of thing at all, you need to share great ideas that really engage with people. So if you're putting out content no one cares, then your content's not that interesting. So it's your job to come up with great content that appeals. And I use all the tricks in the book. Like for this interview, for example, I deliberately said, I'm going to go down the river because it's more interesting. It's more interesting me sitting on the river than just sitting in my home, for example.
I am sitting in my home. Are you just like pointing me out for people right now?
No, I don't blame you one bit, because you are in. I'm lucky because I'm in Sydney. You're in like Canada, and it's probably freezing there. So no one, again, it's sort of like take advantage of your environment is what I'm saying. And if anything, your background's actually really nice, because even though you're sitting in your home, you've got a beautiful background. Whereas some people will sit at home. I sit at home too sometimes, but what it is, they'll just have like a messy background. They'll have paperwork and crap everywhere. They'll just have a blank wall. No way. Like if you're going to sit in your home or your office, you do what you do. You've got a beautiful background. Whereas I'm lucky right now. If it was raining, I couldn't do this. I would have to sit somewhere. But because it's not, I can go sit on the river. The point I'm making is in terms of your content, you need to use what you have and take advantage of your environment. And you've got to put out interesting ideas. And look, usually you should start seeing engagement after a few days.
Right. Super cool. So I actually lost my question. What was my question? Let's just go to the next question.
Yeah, well, that's right.
So if someone is putting out content and there's video, there's text and pictures. So which one works best for you, or what do you suggest for people to use more often?
The answer is all of it, a combination of everything. Now, that's not me sidestepping the question. It's actually a real answer, because the thing is, if you pump out videos all day, you're going to get boring. If you do text all day, you're going to get boring. And here's the point. Not everyone reads text and not everyone watches videos.
Absolutely true.
So a good influencer has what's called content variety. And that can mean anything from different topics to different environments to different types of content. Be it here's a video, here's a long video, here's a short video, here's text, here's a photo, here's an event I've got coming up. So the more variety you have as an influencer is good. So for example, when I was planning today's interview, and I'm like, I don't want to just sit in my room, and it's now spring in Sydney. I thought, what am I going to do differently? I thought, if the weather's good, which it was, I'm going to go down to the river because it's going to be different. You know what I mean? So it's good. Plug in my Samsung earphones. I've got a brand new Samsung S20. The quality's great. So why not?
Super cool. Thanks, Edward. So there's just one more thing I remember someone asking is, when they come on LinkedIn, it's a professional platform, right? They have this feeling of, CEOs and like people like in a higher rank. So when someone is like in an administration or whatnot, and they want to step up their game, become coaches or, do their own entrepreneurial journey, and they have this feeling of kind of like judgment. So what do you suggest for people who are feeling like that?
Yeah, and that's a very fair way to feel, actually, because the truth of the matter is, LinkedIn is a professional platform. It's full of CEOs and stuff, and I'll give you, and that is actually a fair point, because and I'm going to have a shot at Facebook here. I know you agree with me. I mean, I know you and I, you and I are not fans of Facebook, right? And so I know I'm preaching to the choir here. But the thing is, there's just so much. I don't know about you. Can I be honest with you, Amy? Can I be completely honest with you and the audience?
Absolutely, please.
I'm not a Facebook fan, but lately I'm liking Facebook less and less because there's just so much rubbish on there. It's just fake news. There's junk on there. There's a lot of hateful stuff on Facebook, and I'm just sort of not into that because what I love about, I suppose I'm becoming really LinkedIn indoctrinated in the sense that what works on LinkedIn to me, it's not so much whether you're in a suit or not, it's more the quality of your ideas. So if you're putting out positive, valuable ideas, you've got nothing to worry about because there's just so much trash on Facebook. And I don't know about you, Emy, I'm just sick of it. Like, I have to use Facebook for business reasons, but I don't enjoy it. What do you think of Facebook, Emy?
Well, as you know, my account got disabled last November, so I'm not really hanging around on Facebook. So I don't even know what changes are going on there, what's happening there. So don't ask me. Don't ask me about Facebook.
Yeah, no, but I think in all honesty, you are correct. That is a legitimate fear to have because, but I think the answer to this is on Facebook. It's not so much you have to wear a business suit and you have to go, well, it's Edward Zia here. It's not about that. It's more, the thing I found that's important on LinkedIn is positivity. So if you're positive, sharing great ideas, you've got nothing to worry about. Whereas, and this is what I like about LinkedIn, negativity flies like a brick. It doesn't go anywhere. Where I find on platforms like Twitter and Facebook, negativity tends to fly quite far. Whereas it just lands like a brick on LinkedIn, which is good because at the end of the day, there's enough negativity when I turn on the TV, which is why I don't like turning on the TV. Whereas to me, LinkedIn is like the positive oasis of ideas where I always like to flock to.
Super cool, super cool. And talking about, negativity, I actually noticed that I get more followers I have, actually more negative comments I get on my posts. So how is that affecting you? Do you get a lot of people saying negative stuff about you or comments, or how does it affect you?
Well, the answer is, and Lassie will tell you this actually, pardon me, I'm just trying to position my camera. I'm doing a very poor job. As you said before, Emy, my poor arms are getting tired, so there we go. And I'll move my hairy legs away.
You don't want to hold that phone for half an hour.
Oh, that's better. You're right. You can do it for about 5 minutes and then your arms fall off. So you're right. You know what you're doing, Emy. Yeah. So look, trolling is a big problem on LinkedIn, but it's not as big as it is on other platforms. So, and I think I'd say as well, and I was saying this before off camera, I'm not the sort of guy that says sexism is everywhere. But I think women do cop it more in all fairness on LinkedIn or any platform. I think women do get trolled more than men, which is appalling, and I'm obviously against as a man for equality. But I think it's this. I think what the key thing is that the more successful you get is the more you're going to get trolled. And our policy is just delete and block them. And over time, that's become a really, really good policy because the moment you interact with trolls is you're giving them what they want. That what they want is an interaction. What trolls don't want is to be delete and block. That's the last thing they want. And whatever the last thing they want is the first thing I'm going to serve them. Because trolls are terrible people. They're insignificant. And usually they've got nothing going on in their lives and they're a bunch of losers, which is why they're trolling in the first place.
So, okay. So with that said, if I get...
How's that for some positivity? Trolls are a bunch of losers and little people, and they're insignificant, and trolls are sexist, misogynists. There you go.
So if someone gets negative comment, like, would you leave it there or would you delete it and just forget about it?
Oh, usually I just delete them. It depends what the negative comment is. If it's fair discussion of my ideas, no problem. No problem. If it's something like vulgar or horrible, I just delete and block it right away. So what I do is I delete the comment and then I block the person. If it's really bad, I'll then report the person as well.
Right. That's
if it's really, really bad. And especially if I can, again, talking to, again, I do say women do get it worse than men. And often women get more... I think the trolling aimed at women's more judgmental. It's more like, you're an F and B, you're a H. It's a lot more personal and vindictive. And what I always say to people, especially, and I know this has happened to you, is I think reporting it, if it's really vulgar and vile, you hit that report key, and LinkedIn do investigate it. So make sure you hit that report key if it's really vile, horrible stuff, because trolls don't just troll you. Trolls, they troll everyone, and that's why they have such miserable lives, and no one cares
Yes.
about them, and they're just, you know, dirty, insignificant people.
Well said, well said. So I'm just gonna have maybe one or two more questions and kind of
Right.
like sum it up. Like, what was the biggest lesson so far you've learned in your life? You know, overcoming all those challenges and now becoming this amazing, strong influencer that you are. What was the biggest lesson that you've learned?
Yeah, I think I say this all the time, is daily consistent action. So the thing is that whether you're happy or sad, no one really cares. It's what you do that day that counts. So whether you've had a good day or an awful day, you need to stay productive. And that's very important. And for example, like today, I honestly feel a little bit off. Like, it's whatever, it's just human nature, right? I'm not a Terminator, I'm a human. So I have good days and bad days. But just because you're having a bad day, you know, you got to stay productive and stick at it. And when you have good days, great. You know, it's just the way it goes.
Okay, yeah, super cool. Thank you so much. And I think that's it. Maybe I just want to ask you, so can you tell people who are watching this, where can they find you other than LinkedIn?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's a pleasure. Now, thank you, Amy. I was going to say, yeah, obviously LinkedIn. I'm also on Facebook and Insta as well, albeit not as much. You can find me there too, or you just type my name into Google, and I'm pretty easy to find. I've got a rare Persian name, Edward Zia. I think there's only 3 other Edward Zias in the world: a guy from Pakistan and a guy from California. So I'm easy to find.
That's super cool. Yes, 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 yeah. And you also have persuasion and marketing workshop coming up, right?
Oh yeah, we just had one. So yeah, so just thank you for that. So we've got an international mentoring program called the Awesome Marketing Vault, and yeah, in Sydney, I run a lot of face-to-face workshops as well. So if you're local in Sydney, come to one of our workshops. If you're anywhere, including Sydney, around the world, we've got our online program as well. So it's how I help people as an international master coach and more.
Super cool. Well, thank you for everything that you shared with us here, Edward. I'm super proud of everything that you have achieved, and I'm actually super proud to get to know you, to learn from someone like you. I've been following your work as well on LinkedIn, so I've learned a lot from you, and thank you so much for that. And yeah, I appreciate you took the time this morning after your run, even though that you woke up with kind of like a miserable feeling. You put yourself in a state of positivity and you showed up for the interview. So thank you so much. And thank you for everyone who took the time to watch this first episode of Serious Success Stories. I'm looking forward to inviting many, many successful people to share their story, to show you how you can to overcome any kind of adversity that you might be living right now. Positive mindset, winning attitude, changing your thought, changing your daily routine slowly, step by step, within a short period of time, your life can be different. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you again, Edward Zia, for coming for my first interview. Woo! Give a hand, everyone.
Oh, great job, Emy. And if I can say for our friends around the world, I know Emy really well. And Emy puts out incredible content. Emy is a wonderful high performance coach. So if you're looking for a coach, make sure you consider Emy. She's got some great ideas and a heart of gold.
Thank you so much. Yes, you guys can find me on LinkedIn as well. So thank you. And I will see you on the next episode. It's probably coming up in a week or two. I have actually a lineup of beautiful people already asking to be on the show. So watch out. I'll be letting you know who is my next guest very, very shortly on LinkedIn. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. And bye for now.